For decades, doctors told us the same thing. Run more, get your heart rate up, protect your cardio, and you will live longer. But a wave of new research is turning that advice upside down. Scientists have found a single, simple measurement that predicts how long you will live more accurately than blood pressure, and in some studies even more reliably than how much cardio you do. It is not your VO2 max, it is not your resting heart rate, it is your grip strength, a direct window into your overall muscle strength. Today, I am breaking down the actual studies behind this discovery, and by the end of this video, you might completely rethink what healthy aging really means. Let's get into it. The study that started it all, in 2018, a massive study called the PURE study, published in The Lancet, analyzed nearly 140,000 adults across 17 countries. The findings stunned researchers. Grip strength predicted all-cause mortality and cardiovascular events more strongly than systolic blood pressure, the number your doctor has been obsessing over at every checkup for your entire life. Since then, the evidence has only piled up. A meta-analysis covering more than 3 million participants confirmed that grip strength independently predicts death from all causes, and that relationship held across age groups, genders, and baseline health conditions. Another analysis of 42 separate studies found that people with low grip strength had a 67% higher risk of early death from all causes compared to people with high grip strength. Let that number sink in. 67%. That is not a small statistical blip, that is one of the strongest associations in all of longevity research. Why muscle beats cardio in this race? Here is where it gets really interesting. A landmark study published in JAMA Network Open followed more than 5,000 women, average age 79, for over 8 years. Researchers measured muscle strength using grip strength and chair stand time. Basically, how quickly someone could stand up from a seated position without using their hands. Women with greater strength had significantly lower mortality, and this held true even after accounting for how physically active they were, how fit their cardiovascular systems were, how much time they spent sitting, and their inflammation levels. In other words, strength was not just a proxy for people who exercise more in general, it was an independent signal, all on its own. Crucially, grip strength remained associated with lower mortality even among women who were not meeting standard aerobic activity guidelines. That means someone who was not doing much cardio at all could still gain a survival advantage simply by maintaining strength. Researchers calculated that every additional 7 kilograms of grip strength was associated with a 12% reduction in death risk. Another study found that every 5-kilogram decrease in grip strength was linked to a 16% higher risk of all-cause mortality and a 21% increased risk specifically from cardiovascular causes. The centenarian connection, this is not a new idea, it just took decades of data to prove it. A landmark study that began tracking participants back in the 1960s followed people from midlife all the way until death. The researchers discovered something remarkable. Centenarians, people who lived to at least 100 years old, were 2.5 times more likely than people who died before age 80 to have been in the group with the highest grip strength earlier in life. Strength, it turns out, was not just a marker of a healthy lifestyle, it was one of the clearest predictors of who would actually make it to triple digits. Scientists have even connected weak grip strength to accelerated biological aging at the cellular level. People with feeble grip strength show signs of their DNA aging faster than people with stronger grips, essentially meaning their genes were behaving older than their actual age. Why your muscles control so much? So why does something as simple as squeezing your hand say so much about your entire body? Because grip strength is not really about your hand at all. It is a snapshot of your whole muscular and metabolic system. Muscle tissue is metabolically active, meaning it plays a direct role in managing insulin sensitivity and blood sugar, two of the biggest risk factors for cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes. Strong muscles also mean better balance and mobility, which dramatically reduces the risk of falls and injuries as we age. And falls are one of the leading causes of loss of independence in older adults. There is also an inflammation connection. Higher muscle mass is associated with lower baseline inflammation. And chronic inflammation is now linked to nearly every major age-related disease we know of. Put simply, grip strength works as what one researcher called an all-systems check, reflecting the accumulated effects of how you move, how you eat, how you recover, and how you have lived, all condensed into a single, measurable squeeze. The Taiwan study that refined the science, more recent research has taken this even further. A large prospective study out of Taiwan, called the Island Longitudinal Aging Study, followed over 1,600 community-dwelling older adults and looked at something called muscle-specific strength, which is grip strength normalized against the actual amount of muscle mass in your arm. The idea is simple but powerful. Two people can have the same grip strength number, but if one of them is generating that strength from a smaller amount of muscle, their muscle is actually more efficient and higher quality. Researchers found that this efficiency measurement better predicted future physical performance decline than raw grip strength or muscle mass measured on their own. In other words, it is not just about how much muscle you are carrying, it is about how well that muscle actually works. This matters because it means two people with different body sizes can both meaningfully improve their longevity odds through training, since it is muscle quality and neuromuscular efficiency, not just bulk, that is doing the heavy lifting behind these mortality statistics. It also explains why some naturally smaller or leaner people can still post excellent grip strength numbers relative to their frame and enjoy the same protective benefit as someone who looks more conventionally muscular. What you should actually do with this information, before you panic and start crushing a stress ball for 20 minutes a day, here is the important nuance. Grip strength itself is not magic. Squeezing things harder does not directly add years to your life. It is a reflection of your overall muscle mass and strength, and that is what you actually need to train. The single most effective way to build it is resistance training. Using weights, resistance bands, or even just your own body weight, performed consistently over time. Experts are clear that this is not about choosing muscle over cardio. The best approach mixes both strength training and cardiovascular exercise into your routine. But if you have been neglecting the weight rack in favor of the treadmill, this research is a serious signal that you might be missing one of the single strongest predictors of a long, independent life. Muscle is not just about how you look. Researchers increasingly describe it as one of the greatest gifts you can give your future self. If this changes how you think about strength training versus cardio, make sure you subscribe, because we dig into research like this every single week. Let me know in the comments, are you training for strength, cardio, or both? Hit like if this gave you a new reason to hit the gym. And I will see you in the next one.